Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to record. I'm not touching YouTube right
In
now.
addition to the Zoom out, yes, my whole computer needed a hard restart.
Okay. The other item is staffing time or salary for FY23. So that is certainly something that we could pursue. I don't know what your thoughts on that are. So essentially this money is outside of any tax, operating budget taxes. This is the town has half the money and will have the rest of the money soon. So it's already been allocated or earmarked for the town. So I don't know what your thoughts are on adding that to the list. We're fine through FY22. This would be for FY23.
I think we should add it to the list for sure.
Okay.
So,
Safdar, what do you think?
so can you explain that again? So what,
Yeah.
Would you use this in lieu of other, like, I guess when we ask for this, how are we asking for this? Because obviously APRA this is a short-term thing, so.
It is, right. So I think what you would, I think, it's February, right? And we have, as we discussed at advisory last week, like we have 2 employees in the seats that we're asking to have the town budgets fund, right, for FY23. So what you could do is you could approach it a few different ways. You could do it as a phase-in approach. So I would actually be in favor of adding 1 position to the town budget, and then you could use the request ARPA funds for the second position. So that way you're still increasing the overall Board of Health budget, but you're phasing it in over time because you really have until 2024 to like earmark, say what you're going to spend the funds on, right? Your other option is that you essentially buy yourself a year to figure out what you're doing in terms of long-term planning for the Board of Health. And then you make your decision if then a year from now, we say, okay, we've done this for a year, we've explored XYZ options, and now we're either back to what we were requesting in FY23, or we're changing our strategy, and here are the options for the health department. So I think there's I would not be comfortable with putting both positions into the ARPA funding, because I think then we're going to be back even worse off than where we are now, asking for more money, right? I think if we did, and I wouldn't even touch the benefit side. I would purely be talking about either the 1 position or the difference of what we're asking for 1 position. I just think that, we know that we need to have a sustainable budget for the Board of Health, right? Or the health department. And I just think by moving both into ARPA, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. So this would be either because it's one-time money, right? Like you're never going to get this again. So I think you need to be smart about how you ask for it. And I'm just bringing, like Heather and I've had some conversation about, doing it this way. And if we were to ask for it, I think we would need to know in March if this is the way, if this money would be allocated to the Board of Health to use for this.
No, my only thought was, even if we do 1 position for the ARPA funds, then we need to continue this process once those ARPA funds are over. And that's my concern is, if we did both with town budget, then we know we are set. And I realize, the risk of doing that, but I think that's what I'm a little worried about, is that, we sort of had this already with the rescue funds that we got, and here we are, with these positions, and, we've established we need them. So
Yes.
moving forward, but I also don't want the ARPA money to go to waste. I guess that's where I'm
Yeah, I'm with
struggling
you.
with this, but I am also worried that we're just, having this as part of the budget secures it versus using the ARPA funds.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. I mean, I hate to turn away money. And I don't know if once the ARPA money is gone, if we couldn't explain why we need more money for our budget, that again, it was funded. It would provide, I think, more security for Heather if it was just in our budget, because I imagine she's probably pretty tired of, relying on grants and things. But then again, but I'm the same as, you hate to, give money away. Is there some way else we could use it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, yes, there's
Digitalization
for the town.
obviously, or for the Board of Health. It
Oh,
doesn't
I
have
mean,
to be-
I think so. I mean, I think so. The records is one, right? But if we can get other funds, like I'd rather. I obviously don't care how we get things funded, right? And I am more than happy to pursue other avenues if they're available to us. I mean, I think there's going to be public health money coming our way. And Heather, feel free to weigh in on this. If we were to use something in FY23, we would need to know before town meeting. Otherwise, we're waiting until town meeting to know what's funded. So that's my other thought here is, I feel like we're in this kind of limbo where we have an opportunity to phase it in over 2 years versus being unclear for a longer period of time. And that's one advantage to asking for it. Now, that doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to get it if we put it on our list. But I'm just trying to think, obviously these are very difficult conversations, right? And I recognize that we have employees sitting there doing a lot of work for the town of Southborough and not knowing until April or beginning of May is very challenging, right? So this would be another way. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I think if we can find out in March if they would be willing to allocate ARPA funds for this purpose, then we're not asking for as big of a jump in at town meeting, and we would know earlier on some funding.
Right. I mean, I'm sort of in limbo for a year here with the health director position for what I was hired to. I'm doing, but it's sort of unclear going forward, I guess. And I think Chelsea's absolutely right. You wouldn't want to put both positions into ARPA and kick that can too far. So you absolutely need to put the nursing assistant health director through the budget. And in terms of the ARPA funds, there's also the borough's escalation for salary, which is a very small amount. But I mean, I would be open to totally doing the look at ARPA funds for a 1 year for the health director position as budgeted currently. Like I said, I'm kind of just.
And it may just be
looking at things, and sooner is always better.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other, and I'm just pulling up the budget now. The other thing that we could look at is just keeping the same amount funded in the budget and have the difference come out of ARPA, right? So that way we're not taking the whole amount out of the budget, right? And you're working on closing that gap
Right, it's the difference for the position.
difference,
It's
right.
not the whole position. It would be the
Right, so-
difference in the position. Right,
So be
the
the
budget of the Board of Health has always had it, a health director line item.
Right, so you'd keep the 17.75, I think it is, Heather, amount in the budget. You would, and then the difference to 30 hours would be what we would be, it's an option, right? They may say no, and then we're not gonna change the budget. I just wanted to talk through it with you guys, because, you know, I think we're in a tough spot where we're just not gonna know until town meeting, but if we at least know that we have some ARPA money to it, and, you know, I think this is a very reasonable bucket to have included in the ARPA money. So, I mean, public health is called out specifically in the rules for using it. So,
But in
That's kind-
theory, there still could be support for the budget or the budget with the one position in it by advisory and select board before town meeting. In theory, it wouldn't.
Right.
Right,
Town meeting
it
would
would
still
go to
need to
town
vote it.
budget. It would go to town meeting, but with a,
Right.
right.
So you're saying even the one position still has to go to town meeting, but
oh yeah,
we're still more likely to have support. Okay.
I just think I think it's less of a jump, Safdar, and I think really what you would be increasing, if you did it this way, is you would keep the public health director at the 17.75, and you'd be increasing the nurse from 15 to 40. So that's where your increase would be.
And that always goes through town meeting, but it still could be potentially supported before town meeting by advisory. Right.
Mhm.
And, you know, as far as the ARPA funds go then, so if we decide, then that is okay. It doesn't need to go beyond us in terms of.
Oh,
approval?
no, it's
So-
so, I'm sorry if I wasn't
Yeah.
clear. So this is us requesting of the ARPA committee to consider it in their recommendation. The selectmen have the authority to spend those funds.
Well, and I guess my worry is if we go to town meeting and we're not backed by the selectmen and advisory, and then we're trying to get the money and the selectmen and advisory bring up the fact that we didn't go for this ARPA money, it might look poorly on us, that we're not trying to find other ways to support this.
Advisory did say something to that effect at the meeting.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened last year. Essentially just a different means of funding it, I guess.
Well, I think this is, in this case, the funds are already self-grows funds, like this, it's not like you have to fit it within a box. I mean, you do, but this is pretty clear that it is an allowable use of the funds. So I mean, I think this, it almost gives us more time to figure out and come up with a, what is the future of the department going to look like? And it gives us an opportunity to really sit down in the shared service group and say, what are you all thinking? And what path are we kind of moving forward as like communities together, right? And really hone in on what the options are.
And
Yeah,
I think,
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
go ahead.
Nancy. Go ahead, Nancy. Go ahead.
well, no, I think we will, like last year too, have to, if we can get the money through the ARPA, I do think we need to be very transparent with the town that, again, we've found ways to fund this, but if this funding ever ends, we will be coming to them with a larger budget to keep our staff the way it is. We have no intentions of cutting our staff, but we're willing to find other means to fund it as they're available. But if the pandemic and things start, going in hopefully the right direction,
I know.
we may find ourselves without funds next year. So I think we just need to be very transparent with the town that at some point we will likely be coming to them with a very inflated budget in their eyes because these sources are going to dry up.
But I think that's why I would not be comfortable taking both positions
Right.
out, right? So like, we're still
Well,
gonna be asked,
We've got Taylor's kind of all, we've gone to the personnel board. I feel like that one's a little more. I think the way I think it's, yeah, just one position.
yeah, and it's not even a full position. It's
Right.
like, I think I'm just, because I agree with you. I don't want to cut too much out and then have this huge increase, even more than what's coming up now. I think you do it over time, but I think it also, will let people see that we're, we are keeping our options open, right? And we're
Right.
trying to figure out how to best do this, right? Like this, like there's no, magic wand that's going to tell us like, this is what your health department should look like. And I think that it gives us, hopefully it will give hopefully the team over the next 6 months will be out of, living the day-to-day of COVID, right? We all hope that that's what's going to happen, but this just gives us, I think, some more stability to do what needs to be done. And then for us to work with, our other towns and see how we can move forward,
Sure.
in the best way, right?
Right.
So-
I think, and that's where, like Nancy said, the vision of the health department has not changed. And that still needs to be the focus. It's just that we will continue to fund these this way and look for sources of funding. So I think the message I don't want to send across is this is temporary. That,
Right.
that our vision moving forward is the staffing we have now to provide the best public health. So that vision needs to be stated clearly. But yes, we have come across these funds, so we don't need to go directly to the taxpayers of the town. I think that I just want it worded so that this doesn't seem like we also think this is temporary. And we did that at the special town meeting as well. It's like,
Yeah.
we have found other sources, but our vision has stayed the same. for the-
Right. I agree wholeheartedly.
I think the wording needs to be put in there. And again, that's something that we can also spread the word about, is that this is just merely looking for dollars somewhere else, not a change in what the.
Yeah,
Board of
it's
Health-
not changing the hours of who we have working, right? Okay.
And also the need post-pandemic, like to say that, our need is going to continue post-pandemic. Yes, we have this rescue money because of the pandemic, but this does not mean that post-pandemic, there's still not a lot of work to be done.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. All right, so I can put it on the list and I'll figure out what that one I can figure out the dollar value. The record one I still need to work on. But the other thing that Heather just alluded to a few minutes ago was potentially putting aside, it's not probably a large amount of money, but putting aside some funds to account for escalations in salaries for the grants that we've received. So just having that available so that we are able to retain the shared service employees that we have. So I don't think that the grants necessarily called out specific escalation costs. There may be some wiggle room that they have to do that. But I think if all the towns can kind of allocate, a little bit of funds just to kind of keep those employees that we have in place. Heather, do you have anything to add to that? Okay. All right, so
No.
and I think obviously that's only going to work if all the towns do it. So that I'll put on the list, may or may not come to fruition. And the other idea that Heather had that was great. Heather, do you want to speak to the subject one?
Websites.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the excellent software update for food and housing inspections through the shared services grant. There is no, when we looked at it about now 6 months ago, there is no equivalent software for septic, but it may be coming in the next year. So certainly updating, if there were septic software for towns, that would definitely be something we would be interested in. And I didn't know, sort of in concert, sort of with the digitalization, whether any updating for our payment methods, if there's any business that could be conducted with our health department for online or any other kind of updating of our transactions.
That would have to go through Jay. Tom and I started talking about that when the pandemic started. But that would all have to be put
Yes.
through open, whatever we have there. I forget what it's called, for buildings.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I would love it if a septic software came out. I just don't think we know the timing of it, so I'm happy to put it on the list, but it's kind of like
Right.
almost like a pie in the sky. Although if you have till 2024 to spend the money, you know, I don't think it hurts to put on the list. Steph or Nancy, do you have an
Any
idea
other
on that?
ideas? Any other ideas?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I think maybe looking back at what people, looking back at the survey we did and maybe looking at some ideas for, you know, if we can allocate
Right.
for anything, are there any specific,
Mental health, right? Are there any
Yeah.
specific?
or just anything like, you know, do we offer more
projects?
simple things, you know, what do people want us to do for them? And maybe we can look into different ways. Like, I mean, you know, so I'd be open to different ideas, and maybe I can look down and look at the survey results again too and see.
Right, right.
know.
After COVID was mental health, and then it was tick-borne illness, and then it was climate change. Those are the kind of the three in descending order after COVID.
So what I'll do is just kind of put these in a memo to the ARPA committee. And they are meeting Thursday night and are going to let me know when we're on their agenda. And I can certainly post for us to join when that is.
Thursday, or we don't know which night we would be
I don't-
going?
It's not this Thursday. It could be next Thursday.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I have part of the health director's salary, the escalation for the grant, the potential septic software, and the digitizing of files. And obviously all of this is caveated with, if we find another source, then we would take advantage of that first. So are we comfortable with that? Okay, thank you. Okay, the update on the space needs study. Heather, do you want me to talk about this, or do you want to? You want me to? Okay. So the town is looking at, or got a consultant to do a space needs study for all town departments, that except for like public safety and DPW, to see how everything could kind of fit together in other space, and kind of use less buildings and consolidate and have, you know, permitting boards together so that we're kind of not all separated. So there was a presentation a couple of weeks ago that kind of showed phase 0 of what that would look like. And I just wanted to update this board because it does impact the health department. And that the health department, so Nancy, I think you sat in on the assessment of the health of the space in the Corderville.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. And, you know, there was discussion around kind of, you know, where the bathroom is placed, and that we don't really have a lot of room. And, you know, when people are on Zoom calls, it's conflicting when they're sitting next to each other. So as part of that, they are speccing out that the health department would be at Woodward with all the other, or a lot of the other town departments. And I know one of the major feedback that Heather was able to give was on staying with building department, because it just makes a lot of sense for those departments to stay together. So that is at least where it is as of right now. And there would also be space for clinics, vaccine clinics, to be held at, you know, a large area like a gym in Woodward. And, you know, you could, there's other areas. There's a lot more common space than what we have today, where I know, you know, we have to work with the senior center and getting that space when we want to do a clinic. So this would give us some more options in terms of that kind of space. And also, you know, maybe having like an actual nurse's office to do smaller things as needed. So I think, you know, overall for the health department, we don't need a lot of day-to-day space, but I think, you know, having walls so that you can have a call confidentially is very important for this department, as well as access to bathrooms, you know, not being in, having to walk through people to get to the bathroom. So I think that it accomplishes a lot of what we deal with on a day-to-day basis at Porterville. So I just wanted to give you an update that there is conversations going on around this. I don't know that I think operationally it's an improvement for the health department. But I just didn't, you know, I wanted to make sure that you understood. Kind of,
The Woodward School?
yes.
So what are they making some of the classrooms office? Like, I'm trying to picture it.
So
Okay.
they're gonna kind of retrofit it for whatever gets decided. It's still in like it's
Okay.
like they haven't knocked down walls or anything. It's just kind of all conceptual. Like they don't even have exact format yet, because there's still kind of some moving parts on where things could go. It was just more of, is this feasible to, like, would we have enough room in this existing building, as well as, you know, townhouse and some of the buildings that we would never dispose of? Do we have enough room to kind of consolidate into that environment?
Okay. So are there fewer kids? Is that I know some of the schools, when my kids were in school, the population was pretty high, but they were saying we were probably going to need less space. So is this why all of a sudden the space is available? Okay.
More or less, yeah. And there's actually a school committee meeting tomorrow night to talk about kind of this entire, I mean, there's the town side and there's the school side, and trying to get that kind of lined up together. So yes, there's been a study done on that too.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's good for the health department. I don't know, Heather or Taylor, if you have any feedback.
Well, I don't know if any of you ever saw the previous health department.
No.
It was in the townhouse. It was extremely small.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'd be happy if we had a bathroom that wasn't in my office,
Yeah.
and I'd be happy if I had a private office.
Yeah.
And I think everyone else feels the same way. I think it's good that we would have a space to vaccinate, that we didn't have to clear with a lot of other departments, and make sure that their schedule is clear and that they're able and move things around. I think that will be really helpful. No, I think it's good. Sounds good.
Great. Okay. So more to come on that. Kind of, it's a very fluid project, but I think it's
Exciting. Yeah.
it is
Very early stage, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Phase 0. Okay, next is town meeting safety protocols. So town meeting has been pushed out to probably the last week of April, the third week of May. And we're waiting to hear back from the AG, hopefully by next Tuesday, on whether we can do it at Algonquin. And I think the goal is to do it during the week. So we're waiting on dates from when we could get 2 nights in a row at Algonquin. So I just I'm probably going to leave this on the agenda every time now for us to kind of just say if there's any new information, new data that we want to change our position. So right now we're at 6 feet masked inside. That's what
Okay.
the requirement is. Okay,
You said it could be as late as the third week of May?
yes,
Oh, okay. I have a college graduation, but in St. Louis. Okay, hopefully.
is that, or you're leaving during the week to go to that, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, maybe you can just email me those dates just so I know.
Sure.
Okay,
Actually, I think I have them right now. I can look.
okay.
And
Um,
is then, sorry, Chelsea, the third week of May then, I mean, is the outside option off the table for them right now? Because I mean, when you look at the third week of May, you think,
Yeah, the challenge is that, so originally when town meeting was moved to Saturday, it was in response to people with school age children. And that March date was good because it's in between sports seasons. Well, now we're not. And so we did do a survey to find out if people would want us to shut down the fields. And the answer was no.
Right.
Overall, people don't, I mean, I think, parents feelings are, the kids have missed so much, like they need to get outside and do their sports. So understood, right? But the reason why we moved it to Saturday was for that reason. So now we're back to during the week and it's hard to do an outdoor meeting.
yeah, no, you can't do it during the week. Okay, that was my question.
So,
I know there's a lot of fields, but most of them are used actually. You're right. On any given
Yeah.
Saturday during soccer season, they're almost all used. So
right. Even doing it during the week, we'll take, you'd have to shut down whatever happens
Practices.
after school
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah.
So I think, we're trying to figure out the best way to do this, right?
So I will be gone.
Algonquin.
Oh, sorry, Thursday,
ahead.
May 19th through Sunday, May 22nd.
Okay. Okay.
Ugh.
No, Algonquin just has more indoor space.
Yeah.
Like we said, with the to be able to accommodate.
Right. Right. So that's kind of the goal. So I'm just going to keep it on there so that we can
Okay.
keep a pulse on what's going on. But that's where we're at right now. Okay. Director nurse update. So COVID cases, I think you gave an update on that, Taylor, but do you have anything else to add on that one? I know we're on the downswing here.
Nope, just like you said, on the downswing, I'd say on average cases every week are falling by almost half. So like last week we had 58 cases, this past week 33 cases. Before that it was in the hundreds, and then the week before that was 200. So all falling, and hopefully we'll continue on that path. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay. COVID vaccine clinics, including children under 5. So do you want to give an update on that?
Sure. So Pfizer sent in for approval for children under 5 to be vaccinated. We are still waiting to hear if that's approved or not. We probably won't hear until next week or the week after. So I just had put together an interest form to see in general if people were interested or not in having like a local clinic. It's a younger age group. I feel like people will be more hesitant to go to a clinic site over like their pediatrician's office. We have like maybe about a little less than 100 people that said they were interested. That's what I expected. And we'll keep reposting and make sure that people who missed it have the opportunity to say that they're interested. So we'll have to wait for those to be approved, but more information to follow as things change. And then this morning, Heather and I kind of put together 2 tentative dates for some small booster clinics in town. For people who maybe waited for some reason or are just becoming eligible. I suspect based on our numbers weekly that we're not going to have a ton of interest, but if there's people who want to be vaccinated, we'll be able to provide that for them. I'm just waiting for confirmation on the date, so I'm not going to say them yet.
Right, Pfizer booster for age 12 plus.
Right.
Is there any
And,
Moderna available for adults 18 and above yet? No.
No.
there is not in
There
our
is, I just don't-
refrigerator, not in our refrigerator, and I don't know if we want to put in a whole order because we sense the numbers will be quite low.
Okay.
We are doing a small, very small Pfizer booster clinic at Fay with the international students who don't have an option for booster.
Great. Thank you. And we don't, so if you had to guess, any idea what month we're looking at for under fives?
Probably. It really depends on when it gets approved. I think, as soon as it gets approved, we'll probably put something out within the next week or two.
Okay,
Potentially, we would share the clinic with Northborough, possibly host it. Northborough will host.
Okay.
It depends on availability of site.
okay.
And
Great.
we have a
And-
couple things that we're discussing.
Right, it could come as early as end of February.
End
which
of
would
February,
potentially
beginning
be-
of March, I
Right,
think.
vaccine, maybe that very, very early March.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, next is upcoming meeting schedule. So I think I probably just added 2 more meetings somehow in our discussion today. But the ARPA one will get added. And then personnel board will get added. So I'll email you when we know those. And then for our regular schedule meetings, I did 3, 8, 4, 12, and 5, 10. I just threw those dates out there. Any
Those are
issues with
fine.
those?
Nope,
Okay.
I
those
think
are fine.
that's
Nancy?
fine.
Okay,
Those
I
should
tried to
be-
avoid school vacations and stuff. But maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you guys care about that or not.
That's the one
I
way
care
to-
about it.
I still have one. I still have one to care about.
Oh, you
One-
still have one. Okay.
I
but
still
they're
have one in
probably
high
not
school. I
hanging
still have
on
one in
you.
high school, so definitely, yeah.
When I
Okay.
started, I had them all.
Yeah, me too.
And then I think we're gonna be on the agenda for the select board meeting on the 15th. So
And
I
I'm
will
off the
post
So what
Perfect.
happens at that meeting?
just like budget.
Budget, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but now we kind of have new information after our ARPA discussion too, so we can talk about that
Mm.
with them.
Okay.
Although that's next Tuesday, so we actually won't have met with ARPA yet, but I will try to get the information to ARPA before
Okay.
our select board meeting.
Okay.
All right. Does anybody have anything else?
What ARPA stands for?
American Rescue Plan Act.
Rescue Plan Act. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else? Okay, and there's nobody in the audience, so I'm not gonna do public comment. Okay, so I move that we adjourn at 12:12.
Okay. I second the motion and vote aye to adjourn.
I vote to adjourn.
Okay, Malinowski, aye. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right.